Hey YouTube, Vermont Prepper. What we're going to do today is pack up a drum set that I just sold on reverb.com, and I'm going to go through some step-by-step instructions as I do it. And basically you get the whole kit into one box. It's probably going to take me about an hour, hour and a half, possibly longer, because I'm going to do this really slow. This is an expensive drum set. It's one of 10 in the United States and one of 50 in the world. So stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. It should be interesting. Welcome to my world. We're going to talk mainly about military vehicles, solar power, and self-sufficiency. But I also like to live life to its fullest potential. I do this through music. Specifically, I'm a drummer. Music runs through my veins, and I'm also going to discuss the various equipment I use and throw in a few covers. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the channel. Okay, so the first thing that I would recommend is that you get a actual box kit for a drum set. And I got mine at soundpure.com. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but that's where I got mine. It was about $80 for the kit. And what that does is it alleviates you having to travel all around to get the right size boxes, etc. And you know, they come up with measurements online, so you can figure out how it pertains to your specific drum set. Mine is a 22-inch by 18-inch kick. So what it basically comes with are the boxes. Comes with some bubble wrap and some paper to line the shells, and then it comes also with these pretty cool instructions. So I'm just going to follow these instructions and go through it with you. First thing that it told me to do, which I had already done, strip the hardware from the floor toms, legs, and the tom holders, and they're going to be packed later on in the process. And then the next thing, what I'm doing right now, is getting the bass drum ready for packing. So you got to remove the hoops and the heads, and then we'll go from there. So I have a number of lugs right there, and I'm not going to show you me removing all of them. I'll just do it and then basically show you the end result of what I do. When I loosen them is I kind of, you know, lift it up a little bit so it doesn't move around and scratch the finish as I remove the lugs. Alright, so I set up the camera. I figure I'll show some things that I do to give you illustration on how things are done. So I'll continue with the lug removal, and I'll show you what I do as far as when I loosen them. So you have your lug right here. Got my key, and as I'm loosening it, I'm going to lift it up so that it doesn't move around and scratch the really nice finish. You want to do it slowly so your key doesn't fall as well. Because your key, if you do it too fast, it'll slip right off this lug and possibly scratch, which you don't want to do. Alright, so that's all of the lugs. I'll set them aside for right now. We're going to carefully lift off the head and the hoop. I'll do the same for the other side, and then we'll be back. Okay, we got the lugs removed from the second hoop, and I just wanted to show you something real quick. What I use is this hoop protector for where you mount your kick drum pedal. It helps immensely so you don't scratch your surface right here when you remove the pedal. Say if you're gigging, which I would never gig this drum set because it's too expensive, but if you're gigging another drum set and you don't want to scratch the hoop, because you're going to be taking the pedal on and off every time you set up and break down, you use this particular, it's a piece of rubber and it just sticks to the hoop. It doesn't mess with the finish or anything. So that's just my recommendation there. Again, not sponsored by anything. Okay, so the next thing, which is recommended, and they said it'll save you time in one of the last steps, is to put the bass drum heads inside an old bass drum head box. And I don't throw anything out. It could be a blessing and it could be a curse as well, but I keep all my boxes of, with spare heads. So I happen to have two 22-inch head boxes, which I'm going to put the two bass drum heads in there. Actually, I have two different ones, so so I'll put one in each. There's one. There's your second one. So here they are. Okay, so one thing they do recommend is basically wrapping your lugs in newspaper or packing bubbles to make sure that they don't move around and they don't scratch each other during the shipping process. So I'm going to do that a little bit later, but right now I'm going to concentrate on the hoops. And right now you have to wrap the bass drum hoops with bubble wrap and slide them into the bass drum shell, or onto it actually. So we'll do that in the next section. What you're going to need for this particular part of the packing, of course, your bubble wrap. You're also going to need tape dispenser with tape, of course, and some scissors. And basically what you do is, I'm going to do it from the outside here, and I'm going to go all the way around like this with it, right? And then once I'm all the way around, I'm going to tape both ends together. I'll wrap it and tape both ends so that it's nice and secure, and then I'll place it over the shell. And I'll come back once I'm done wrapping it. And here's the finished wrapped hoop, the first one. So basically what I did is I wrapped it all the way around long ways, and I kind of kept it on one, the edge on this side, and then I just wrapped everything around, made it as nice and tight as possible. So this way, let me move this camera a little bit so we can see it put on a shell. And it's a little snug. but it goes on. Okay? And you don't want to force it. It's just around it. And that'll pack like that. Because you're going to put the other hoop on the other side, of course, and then all of the toms will go inside. One tip I wanted to tell everybody about is you don't want to wrap this too thick, the hoop. In the previous section, I kind of put it on there, and I didn't really like that it wasn't going all the way down, and I didn't want to force it. So I took a layer off, and that seems to work because I wanted the hoop to be even with the edge of the shell here. So you don't want to force your hoops in there. If you wrap too much bubble wrap around there, around your hoop, it's not going to fit like it should. So just make sure that one layer is sufficient, and it seems to fit really nice with that. I'll do the other side and I'll show you the finished product for both. Here's the edges. Right there you see the hoops. They fit nicely. All right. And then the next thing we do is we wrap this whole shell in bubble wrap. And they say 2 times the diameter should be enough. And you do the same with the floor toms. We'll wrap those, and then they're going to go inside. And then the floor toms also, you wrap those with cardboard. So we'll get going on that. All right, you see the first layer here of the bubble wrap. I want to show you how I did it on the second layer. You see the bubble wrap that comes with this is not wide enough for an 18-inch bass drum or depth bass drum, and you have to do it in 2 sections. So basically I laid it out on the floor. It comes in one long sheet. They don't come in sections because you never know how much you're going to need in each section, so it's better off it comes in one sheet. So basically what I did after laying it out, I just want to get this situated here. Just take the one side, you lift it up like that, and you take the other side and you meet it right there, and then you cut your length, and there's not much waste. Pretty simple. I tried to make it as tight as possible so it doesn't move around. You just pull it and you get your tape. And you kind of tack it on right there. Like that. And then you just finish taping. So what I did is I taped it to this side right here, and a couple more right here. And then that should do that for the bass drum. Then we get to the toms. The bass drum is complete, and as I mentioned, there are 2 sections for each layer. So you have, right here one section, and then you have the second section right here. I just overlapped them a little bit, and I overlapped on the edge right here because that's how the instructions showed it. So I guess that's, keep it from getting the edges dinged up in shipping. So next thing we do, like I said, we're going to wrap the toms in cardboard and bubble wrap. And I'll take off the hardware for the toms. Probably, I think I only need to take one hoop off. I'm going to look and verify so that we can nest them into the bass drum. For my particular kit, the Sound Pure box that is the overall big box that you put everything in is 26 cubic inches. So there's room on each side because my bass drum is only 22 inches in diameter. So what I did is I put some bubble wrap on the bottom, and then I put some cardboard on top of that to mitigate any kind of impact that the box might have during the transit. And then put the bass drum in it. Then we start nesting. So you see how easily the 22-inch bass drum fits in there, and there's 2 inches on each side. So what we'll have to do is they recommend you reinforce the sides of the box with additional cardboard and fill it with packing paper, and I happen to have a lot of that. It doesn't come with as much cardboard as you probably will need, so you'll have to use some spare boxes that you get from Amazon or somewhere else. You may have to purchase them, but you're going to need some extra cardboard. So that's the next thing, is putting the floor tom in there. And I did verify that you take only one side of the floor tom off the heads, so that you can just nest them inside each other, and you keep the head on one side of it, so that saves a little bit of time. I figure so I don't lose any lugs or tension rods, I'll wrap those really nicely first for the bass drum, and just put them in the bottom of the box there for right now, and then I'll rearrange them once I start putting drums in. So here's how I do it. I take the lugs, and they're shaped like this. You wrap it, then you do the opposite side on this side. You wrap them, and you just continue until you're fully wrapped, and then I'll put it in a plastic bag. I may have to use a little extra bubble wrap, but that's okay. This way they won't move around and scratch up your drum set, because that would not be good. And I'll do this with the other lugs as well. All right, I reached the end of that one, and I'll just have to use some extra bubble wrap to do the rest. That should be easy enough. There's only 3 left. So what I'll do is I'll wrap these, and then I'll wrap it perpendicular. Wrap the whole thing perpendicular. Like this. And the idea is to just keep them separated from each other so they don't... Oh, that's great. I had 2 fall on the rug, so we'll have to stick them back in there. No big deal. That's why I'm wrapping it perpendicular. in there. I'm going to wrap it this way so none of them fall out. And then put them all in a plastic bag to keep them further separated. Because these things can jostle around for sure when it's traveling. And these are going to Tennessee and I'm in Vermont, so it's a long way. It's an 18-hour drive. So I'm not sure if we'll go by plane or by regular truck, but whatever. Alright, so they're nice and wrapped. They're not going to scratch anything. Just time consuming. It's taken me longer than I thought, but I want to make sure that they're wrapped properly, and I'm probably going overboard on it, but being a really expensive drum set, you can't cut corners. Well, you can't cut corners on anything, but especially this, because it could be very costly. Because even though you say, well, you can insure it, well, if it doesn't meet their standards of shipping, of wrapping, you're not going to get your money if something goes wrong. And yeah, they will be insured, no doubt. All right, perfect. I'll just mark these and they'll be ready to go. Okay, here's the first floor tom. It's the 16-inch. And I'm just going to remove the top head. And again, be careful when you're removing it so that the lug wrench doesn't fall off and accidentally nick your finish. Alright, I'll finish all of this and then I'll come back because I'm going to wrap this similar to the bass drum. I'm not going to show you all that. I'll show you how I did it finished, and then we'll do the cardboard. So we have a slight change of plans here. This 16-inch right here, I started thinking about it because you got to nest the floor toms within each other. And I'm thinking, how do you nest a 14-inch within a 16-inch? And the answer is you can't, because the floor tom mounts stick out too much. So I had been wondering why this extra box came with the package. The Sound Pure kit, and that's why, because I'm gonna have to ship within 2 boxes. So the plan is this: I'm gonna put the 16-inch in here. That's gonna be the main shell, and then inside that 16-inch you can nest a 12-inch right there. Then I'm gonna put the 14-inch inside the bass drum and nest the 10-inch within the 14-inch. So we're going to have a 22-inch, 14-inch, and a 10-inch in this one, and then the 16-inch and the 12-inch in this second box. And this box right here is 20 cubic inches. And I just thought it might have been like extra cardboard to wrap around your shells, but it's not. It's an actual box I gotta ship in. So it'll be 2 boxes. So right now I don't need to wrap this 16-inch in cardboard because it's going to be like the bass drum where you just put that inside the box. So next thing what I'll do is get the 14-inch ready, and I already cut some cardboard to wrap around it. And you got to make sure that it's taped really good, because you don't want the cardboard separating when it's in transit. So I taped both sides. I didn't leave any kind of gaps or anything, so it's not gonna separate at all. So the next section will be, you'll see all of the shells nested within each other. I'm going to wrap the other floor tom as well as the 2 rack toms in the bubble wrap them in cardboard, and then nest them inside each other in the appropriate boxes. There's the 14-inch nested inside the 22-inch kick, and you see I have it wrapped with cardboard as well as dual layer bubble wrap around the shell. And then what I'll do is fill those gaps with paper. They give you a bunch of paper, the Sound Pure kit, just so that it doesn't move around. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll put the 12-inch in here, and that's the 16-inch separate box. And then the 10-inch inside the 14-inch, and then I should be all set. And then I just need to put the hardware in the box, and we'll be good to go. This is the 12-inch rack tom right here, and it has a floating rim on the top, which means that you see how far that sticks out right there? Well, that's not going to nest inside the 16-inch. And likewise, the 10-inch did not nest inside the 14-inch. So I have to take the top rim off. And what I did is wrap the rim in bubble wrap. And what I did with the 10-inch is it's going to be similar with the 12-inch back there. I put the 10-inch shell inside with the head off. Then I put the 10-inch top rim bubble wrapped inside there. It's stuck right inside there. I lined it all with some very thick paper so that nothing is touching. And then I put the head in there, and then I put the top of the 14-inch floor tom on top, so nothing moves at all. So this is pretty well packed. So on this side it's going to be the 12-inch inside the 16-inch, but without the top rim. And then I'll show you what it looks like without the head on, like I have the other one. Alright, so here's what we got, and it looks similar in the bass drum box right there. This is 16-inch, and then you have the 12-inch right here, nested in. It's wrapped in cardboard. You see that right there? That's the cardboard for, it's wrapped around the 12-inch, and I left a little room. Then I took the top rim off, wrapped it, stuck it in there, put some paper, thick paper to line it. So again, nothing's touching. You got some lugs right there. And then this is the kick tom rack mount right here. And I made sure that the pointy end where it goes into the bass drum is wrapped with cardboard, so that in case it could have poked out of the bubble wrap, I bubble wrapped it first and then did the end there with the cardboard. So now all I need to do is button up the top with the 16-inch head, and this will be good. Then I'll have to stuff the sides here both with cardboard and with wrapping paper. So I may have to cut down this box. They recommend like 2 inches of room for foam and whatever. This is probably a good 6 inches, so we'll see. May or may not. But I'll show you before I box it up for final shipping. Alright, here's everything finally packed. I put cardboard around the 16-inch drum on in this box. Then I kind of filled it up with paper. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You don't want to leave any gaps. That's the bottom line. And then on top, I'm putting this piece of foam. And likewise here, I put the heads, 22-inch heads right there. Filled it up with paper, wrapped everything in cardboard, the 22-inch kick in cardboard. So this is ready to go. I gotta say, it took a lot longer than I thought it would be, but I'm really comfortable with the way it's packed. It's gonna arrive safely for sure. All right, everybody, hope you got something out of this. It was a pretty intense day today. I'd say all in all, it took me, and this is the first time I've really done a drum set like this, I'd say 4 hours to do it. All right, everyone, take care. Keep prepping.